People whispered when she walked into the police station in handcuffs, but the room fell silent when they realized who she truly was. The lobby of Willow Creek Police Station buzzed with whispers when Amelia Grant stepped inside, rain-soaked, nursing a bruised wrist. An officer at the desk scoffed, but the room fell silent when she lifted her head and they saw who she was. Fluorescent lights flickered overhead. A few townspeople sat on the benches by the wall, talking in low tones. A teenage girl, Lily Grant, clung to her mother's arm, wide-eyed and pale. Just minutes ago, they had been at Lily's school. Quiet day, history class, until the patrol car screeched in and everything turned into chaos. Officer Derek Rowe stood by the intake desk, arms folded, jaw tight. He was tall, mid-40s, famous in this small town for his rigid rules and disdain for people who thought they were above the law. "Ma'am, drop the act," he said. "You assaulted a teacher in front of witnesses." Amelia kept her voice even. "I pulled him away from my daughter. He grabbed her first." "You struck a faculty member," Officer Rowe replied. "That is an arrestable offense." He glanced around as though inviting the murmurs to agree. Lily stepped forward. "He was hurting me." "Mom just..." Officer Rowe cut her off. "Miss, stay quiet. You will make this worse." Parents from the school had followed. Among them stood Claire Martin, another student's mother, arms crossed with smug confidence. Claire whispered to the others, "She thinks winning medals makes her untouchable." A younger officer typed on a keyboard, glancing nervously at Amelia. "Fingerprints?" he asked. Rowe nodded. "Yes. And call social services for the child." Lily's breath hitched. "No, I'm staying with my mom." "You do not get to decide that," Rowe said. Amelia's hands trembled slightly, though her eyes stayed calm. "Officer, you are making a mistake." Rowe leaned in. "The only mistake is thinking your past means anything here." A door slammed in the hallway. Another officer wheeled in a metal tray with an ink kit. People watched quietly, almost hungrily, waiting for her to break. Amelia's hair clung to her temples from the rain. She did not sit until Rowe pushed the chair toward her. "Sit." She sat. The officer pressed her hand onto the ink pad. Lily took a step closer. "Mom." "It is all right, Lily," Amelia said softly. Her voice cracked only at the edges. One of the students who had followed, a boy named Ethan Walters, looked uneasy. His backpack hung off one shoulder. He whispered to his friend. She did not hit him. Mr. Holloway shoved Lily first. His friend shushed him. "Do you want to get involved?" Officer Rowe stood straighter. "Amelia Grant, you are under arrest for assault." Gasps rippled. Amelia lifted her chin. "I want to make a statement." Later he said, "Now." Rowe opened his mouth to argue, but something in her expression stalled him. "Fine." Briefly, Amelia looked at the room, meeting each pair of watching eyes. "I did what any mother would do. My daughter was being hurt. I stopped it." Claire Martin laughed under her breath. "Some champions." Rowe gestured to the cuffs. "Enough." Cold steel clicked around her wrists. Lily lunged forward. "Stop! You cannot do this to her!" Two officers restrained the girl gently. One whispered, "I am sorry, kid." Amelia exhaled slowly. Rain continued tapping against the windows, steady and relentless. Officer Rowe nodded to the younger officer. "Process her." The room felt colder. As Amelia was led toward the holding corridor, a man near the back muttered, "She is finished." But another voice, quieter, unsure, said, "Is she?" Concrete echoed under Amelia's footsteps as Officer Rowe escorted her down the hallway toward the holding cell. Lily followed until another officer gently blocked her path. "Stay in the lobby, miss," he said. Lily's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded and stepped back, fists clenched. In the lobby, whispers thickened. Some parents filmed discreetly with their phones. Claire Martin leaned against the wall, arms folded like a satisfied spectator. Back at the school earlier that day, everything had unfolded under flickering classroom lights. History teacher Mr. Holloway towered over Lily's desk, face red. "You think you are special because of your last name?" he snapped. Lily stared down. I answered the question. He slapped his palm on the desk. "You challenged me in front of everyone." Students froze. Ethan Walters watched, uneasy. Claire's son Lucas smirked from the back row. "Then you grabbed my arm," Lily said quietly. Holloway's grip tightened on her wrist. "Sit down and listen. That is what students are supposed to do." Lily winced. Her chair screeched as she tried to pull away. "Stop," Lily said. "You are hurting me." Ethan stood a little. "Sir." Sitting down, Mr. Holloway snapped. The classroom door swung open. Amelia stood there, breathless, hair still damp from the mist outside. Lily! Holloway didn't let go. Amelia crossed the room in 3 long strides and grabbed his arm, yanking it off her daughter. "Do not touch her," Amelia said. He stumbled back. "You assaulted me!" Parents in the hallway gasped as they watched the scene through the glass. Now in the present, Officer Rowe stopped at the intake door and turned to Amelia. "You will wait here." Amelia held his gaze. "You saw what happened in that classroom, and still you choose this." "I choose the law," Rowe said. "You choose pride." He ignored that. Inside the holding room, metal benches lined the walls. An officer unlocked the cell. Amelia stepped inside. The door clanged shut. In the lobby, Lily paced, breathing too fast. Ethan approached her cautiously. "Lily, do you want me to call someone?" She shook her head. "My uncle is already on his way." "Your uncle?" Ethan frowned. "Who?" Before she could answer, the station door swung open. A tall man in a dark suit entered, raincoat draped over his arm. His hair was streaked with silver, posture calm but unwavering. It was Thomas Grant, Amelia's older brother, former military officer, now regional prosecutor. Every officer in the room straightened. "Where is my sister?" Thomas asked, voice steady. Officer Rowe stepped forward. "She is being processed. She assaulted a teacher." Thomas's stare did not waver. "Release her." Rowe scoffed. "That is not how this works." Thomas leaned in slightly. "It is exactly how it works when due process is violated." The room held its breath. Claire Martin whispered to another parent. "Of course. The Grants always think they run this town." Thomas did not even glance her way. Lily rushed to him, grabbing his sleeve. "Uncle Tom, they took her phone." "They said I might go to foster care." "Not anymore," he said softly. Rowe folded his arms. "You cannot intimidate me." Thomas's voice stayed level. "I am not here to intimidate. I am here to correct an error." He looked past Rowe to the younger officer at the computer. "How long ago was she brought in? Did you file the Miranda documentation?" The young officer swallowed. Not yet." Rowe shot him a glare. "Stay out of this, Grant." Thomas stepped closer, quiet but firm. "Release her, now. Or I call the state attorney's office, the education board, and every news station between here and Capital City." Silence. Keys jingled. Another officer cleared his throat. "Sir, maybe we should reconsider." Rowe raised a hand sharply. "No." Thomas' eyes hardened, but he did not shout. "Then I will make the call." He reached into his coat and pulled out his phone. Rowe's jaw clenched. "Fine. Bring her out." Lily exhaled, shoulders shaking. As the cell door opened down the hall, Amelia stood, calm as ever. Back in the lobby, Rowe muttered under his breath, "This is not over." Thomas replied, "It never is for people who abuse power." The cell door creaked open. Amelia stepped out, wrists still red from the cuffs. She didn't rush, didn't speak. Her calmness unsettled the officers. Officer Rowe waited at the end of the hallway, arms crossed, jaw tight. Thomas stood beside him, silent but firm. "Remove her restraints," Thomas said. Rowe hesitated. A younger officer moved forward and unlocked the cuffs. Amelia rubbed her wrist gently. Thomas met his sister's eyes. "You all right?" Amelia nodded once. "Lily?" "She is in the lobby." She refused to leave. They walked together down the hallway. As Amelia re-entered the lobby, Lily broke free from the bench and ran to her. Amelia dropped to her knees, catching her in a tight embrace. "Mom," Lily whispered, "I am sorry." "No, you did nothing wrong." People watched, unsure now. Claire Martin's smirk faded slightly. Thomas looked at Rowe. "I will need an incident report, copies of the arrest logs, and the written statements from the school." Rowe stiffened. "You are overstepping." Thomas didn't raise his voice. "And you are out of line." Amelia rose slowly. She faced the room. "I will give my statement, but Lily stays with me." Officer Rowe exhaled hard. "Fine. Interview room. 10 minutes." Inside the small interview room, a dim lamp lit the metal table. A camera blinked red in the corner. Amelia sat. Thomas stood behind her. Lily sat against the wall, hands clasped. Rowe leaned against the wall. "Start talking." Amelia's voice stayed steady. "Mr. Holloway grabbed my daughter. I intervened. That is all." "You struck him," Rowe said. "I removed his hand from hers." He lost his balance. Thomas added, "And did anyone document the bruise on Lily's wrist?" Rose's jaw tensed. No one asked. Thomas turned to another officer. "Photograph it." "Now." Reluctantly, the officer nodded and called for the camera kit. "Before moving forward, I tell you about her. Who is she?" Years ago, Amelia Grant had stood on international podiums, medals around her neck, the flag rising behind her. She was a world champion in competitive shooting, renowned for her precision and composure under pressure. But one rainy night, returning from a charity event, her husband died in a car crash while she was overseas competing. Racked with guilt for not being there, she retired at the height of her career, vowing never to raise a weapon again unless it was to protect the innocent. That vow became her quiet armor, unseen by most, misunderstood by many. "We are back now, Roe." Shifted uncomfortably. "This is unnecessary." Thomas stepped forward. "What is unnecessary is your arrogance." Amelia looked at Roe. "You think I want attention? You think I enjoy being here? I would give anything to live quietly." "Then do it," Roe said. "Stay quiet. Stop acting like a hero." Amelia's voice dropped. "A hero is not someone who seeks attention. A hero is someone who moves even when nobody is watching." The door opened. The officer returned with a camera. Lily hesitated, then rolled up her sleeve. A dark bruise ringed her wrist. The officer took photos, uneasy. Roe's confidence wavered for a moment, but pride held his tongue. Interview over. They exited the room. In the lobby, tension hung like fog. Parents whispered, unsure which side to take now. Ethan Walters stood near the door, backpack still slung. He stepped forward. "Mrs. Grant?" Amelia turned. "Yes?" He swallowed. I saw everything. If you need someone to say what really happened, I will." His mother, who had just arrived, shot him a warning look. "Ethan," he shook his head. "It is the truth." Amelia gave a faint, grateful smile. "Thank you." Thomas looked at his watch. "We are leaving. If the school wants statements, we will provide them legally." Officer Rowe did not stop them, but his eyes followed, dark with resentment. Outside, rain had eased to a mist. Street lights glowed on wet concrete. Amelia held Lily's hand as they walked toward Thomas's car. Lily looked up. "Are we in trouble?" "Not yet," Thomas said, "but it is coming." Amelia knew he was right. This wasn't finished. She opened the car door for Lily, then paused, glancing back at the station. Behind the glass, people still stared. Some in doubt, some are guilty, some are in fear. She didn't flinch. Morning sunlight cut through low clouds as Amelia walked across the parking lot of Willow Creek High. She didn't want to return, but Thomas said it was unavoidable. The school board demanded an immediate disciplinary hearing. Parents, staff, and local press crowded outside the auditorium doors. Lily walked beside her, backpack over one shoulder. Her eyes were tired, but steady. Ethan and his mother stood near the entrance. He gave a nervous wave. Lily managed a small smile. Inside, the auditorium lights buzzed overhead. The school board sat at a long table on the stage. Principal Dalton, Mr. Holloway, and a few teachers stood to the side. Officer Rowe lurked in the aisle, arms crossed. Claire Martin sat in the front row like she owned the air in the room. Thomas stood behind Amelia and Lily as they took seats near the front. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Principal Dalton stepped to the microphone. "We are here to address the altercation between student Lily Grant and faculty member Mr. Holloway, as well as the subsequent actions of her mother, Amelia Grant." He paused. His voice wavered. "Mrs. Grant, do you wish to speak?" Amelia stood. "Yes." Her voice carried clearly. "Mr. Holloway laid hands on my daughter. I intervened. I did not strike him. I protected my child." Mr. Holloway scoffed. "She grabbed me, in front of my students." Ethan stood up in the audience before anyone could stop him. "That is not true." All eyes turned. Ethan swallowed. Mr. Holloway grabbed Lily first. He wouldn't let go. Mrs. Grant just pulled him off. His mother tugged at his sleeve, but he stayed standing. Claire Martin stood, pointing. "That boy is lying. These people are manipulating." Thomas stepped forward sharply. "Sit down, Mrs. Martin." Gasps scattered through the crowd. Claire hesitated, then sat. Principal Dalton rubbed his forehead. "Mr. Holloway, is it true you touched the student?" Holloway's face reddened. I guided her back to her seat. Amelia's voice stayed quiet. "You left bruises," a murmur. Someone whispered, "I saw the photos online." Holloway looked toward Officer Rowe for support, but Rowe was staring at Amelia, jaw tight, silent. Thomas addressed the board. We have photographic evidence, statements from students, and now public testimony. Dalton exhaled. Then we need to proceed formally. Suddenly, Mr. Holloway stepped forward. He pointed at Amelia. You think just because you were some big shot shooter, you can come in here and humiliate me? Amelia's eyes barely moved. This isn't about pride. It's about safety. Holloway sneered. If you are so calm, show us. You are retired, right? Probably lost your edge. A few students snickered. Claire smirked again. Thomas whispered, do not. But Amelia stepped forward. What do you want me to prove, exactly? Holloway gestured toward the school's ROTC rifle team equipment display at the side of the stage. Show us you still have control, or admit you lost it years ago. The room stirred. Principal Dalton hesitated. This is inappropriate, but the audience leaned in. Phones lifted. Amelia walked to the glass case. She paused. Her reflection stared back at her. Older, worn, but unbroken. She opened the case. Slowly, she lifted an unloaded training rifle. The room fell silent. She checked the chamber out of habit. Cleared. She turned to face the audience. She raised the rifle. Not at anyone. At the small metal bell on the far wall, the one used for fire drills, a tiny target across the auditorium. Lily whispered, Mom. In one smooth motion, Amelia steadied her breath, focused, and squeezed the trigger. Click. Silence. The bell didn't ring. There was no bullet, but the precision of her stance, her posture, the absolute stillness. The room knew. She hadn't lost anything. Then Thomas tossed a chalk eraser into the air beside her. Without looking, Amelia raised her hand and caught it midair. 2 fingers, effortless. The room gasped. Amelia set the rifle down gently. I do not need to fire a shot to prove a control. Holloway's face was drained of color. Officer Rowe stepped forward then. His voice was low. How? Why would you walk away from that kind of talent? Amelia looked at him. Because talent does not mend broken families, and strength is not about winning. It is about knowing when not to hurt. The crowd fell quiet. Principal Dalton cleared his throat. We will deliberate. Everyone, please remain seated. But the shift had already happened. The room no longer looked at Amelia with suspicion. They looked with something else. Respect, fear, and guilt. The school board returned after a tense 15 minutes. Conversations hushed. Principal Dalton stepped to the microphone, papers trembling slightly in his hands. After reviewing testimony and evidence, he said, we find no grounds for disciplinary action against Lily Grant or her mother. Furthermore, Mr. Holloway is placed on immediate suspension pending investigation. A ripple spread through the auditorium. Gasps, whispers, a few quiet claps. Mr. Holloway's shoulders slumped. He looked at Amelia, but there was no fight left in his eyes. Only humiliation. Claire Martin stood, flustered. This is absurd. She should be... Thomas cut her off with a single look. Sit down, Claire. Claire sat. Officer Rowe stepped forward. He looked at Amelia for a long moment before speaking. I was wrong. His voice was dry, unfamiliar. I let pride decide before the truth did. I apologize. The room went utterly still. Amelia nodded once. Thank you. Holloway swallowed hard, his voice barely carried. Mrs. Grant, I overstepped. I am sorry for what I did to your daughter. Lily stared, surprised. Amelia only said, make sure it never happens again. She put an arm around Lily as they turned to leave. Thomas followed, expression unreadable, though something softer had settled in his eyes. Outside, sunlight broke through the clouds for the first time all morning. Reporters waited on the steps, microphones raised. Amelia ignored them, guiding Lily through the crowd. A journalist called Mrs. Grant. Do you have a statement? Amelia paused. Everyone watched. Her voice was quiet but carried. Strength is not in how hard you fight. It is in how gently you can stand. Then she walked away. Lily glanced up at her, a small smile forming. Can we go home now? Yes, Amelia said. We are going home. If this story moved you, subscribe for more powerful films. Comment where you're watching from and share what you would have done in that room.